What's up, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. I know it's been a little bit since I dropped a YouTube video. If you're curious, I've still been dropping some content over on my blog, weekly content there. I also have been dropping a weekly podcast. It's on Spotify. Sorry, Apple users and whoever else. It's only on Spotify right now. But so you can check that out. I just do weekly reviews of all the movies that I watched that week on that podcast. And then I'm also dropping TikToks. All of these things are linked down below. So if you're interested, feel free to check those out. But in this video, this is episode 20 of a series that I've done here on the channel where I review one of my friends or family members' top 10 favorite movies. I give a quick review, and then I give a rating out of 10 for a total out of 100. Yeah, this is episode 20 of that series, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the movies of Lauren Richards, who is my wife's best friend, one of my good friends, and yeah, she sent me this list here, and we're going to see where she places here on this list of 20 people. Also, stay tuned after this video drops, probably the following day. There will be an article over on my blog in which I highlight all 200 movies that I've talked about in here, and I just kind of record some of the statistics, some of the trends from this series. And, I think it's pretty interesting looking at some of the similarities, some of the differences between the lists. Now, before we get into the top 10, there are some honorable mentions that Lauren gave me. She said there would be a bunch of honorable mentions, but these are just the ones that she told me. 3 of them are Pixar movies. She only wanted one Pixar movie, and so it did make the list, and these are the 3 that she said were close. They are Coco, Soul, and WALL-E. Another honorable mention that she sent me was Pitch Perfect, which that's a fun one. But we will go ahead and get into the list here. First off with The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. This is its 3rd appearance. It's also on my dad, Scott Wilson's list, and it's Destiny's mom's cousin's husband, Blake Thomas, but my good friend Blake's list. I think this movie is so good. It kicks off what I'd consider the best film trilogy, the best film adventure of all time. Though it's left a little open-ended, this movie itself is, it still has a really good 3rd act. It has a great ending to where I still think it stands on its own. It features so many good moments. I always watch the extended edition, which is even more fun. It's emotional, it's awesome, it's entertaining, it's epic, and it's always going to be a 10 out of 10 for me. Next up is Good Will Hunting. This is the 2nd appearance of Good Will Hunting. It was also on my friend Hayden Hasty's list, and I do consider this the best written film ever. It hits on every note. It's emotional. It's funny. It's frustrating, like intentionally frustrating. All of it just hits on it. Matt Damon gives what I would say is probably his 2nd best career performance after The Martian. Robin Williams gave what I would call a career performance in a stellar career. Other supporting players like Minnie Driver, Stellan Skarsgård, both the Affleck brothers. I just think this movie, it just has a great cast that all give very heartfelt performances. They all put their heart and souls into this movie, and you can tell. I think an underrated aspect of this movie is Ben Affleck's character in Chucky. He's just such a good friend to Will, and that's really fun to watch. This movie is obviously a 10 out of 10. Next up, we have the Pixar film that did make the list, Finding Nemo, which is on my mom's list. I think it is definitely one of Pixar's best movies, which says a lot. I feel as though sometimes I personally feel that it's stale, but I think that's just because I watched it so much as a kid, but that still doesn't sour it for me. It's still so fun to watch. It features a very solid ensemble voice cast. If you didn't know, it made history as the first Disney and Pixar both film to win Best Animated Feature, which of course would be the award that they would come to dominate. The only thing that I don't get about this movie is I don't understand how the cameramen held their breath for so long underwater to film it, but I guess that's just a mystery that I'll never get the answer to. I like Finding Nemo. I think it's a fun movie. I think it's a funny movie. I think it's a good father trying to find a good parent movie, and give it an 8.5 out of 10. Now, all the rest of these 7 movies are films that are only on Lauren's list here, so there's no more repeats. First of it is Coraline, which is the other animated film here. I'll admit, it's not really my cup of tea. I don't think it's bad. I totally get why it appeals to people. I understand why it's popular. I understand why people like it. It's just not for me. I think that has to do with the genre. Dark fantasy is not a genre that I typically enjoy. However, this film has its ups. It's very well animated. The voice performances are really impressive, and it's a super, super interesting concept. And so I definitely get the hype around it, and I understand, and I can appreciate it even if I don't enjoy it. However, this is a time to remind you that my scores are always based on my enjoyment, not the quality of the film. So I'm only going to give it a 6 out of 10, which still isn't bad. Next, moving on to Into the Wild, which, what a sad movie to watch. But it's a very well-made movie with a very good lead performance from Emile Hirsch as Chris McCandless or Alexander Supertramp. It also feels like a very good adaptation of the book, if I'm remembering the book correctly. It's been a while since I've read it, but I remember we watched it in my English class right after we read the book. It's an interesting take on American life, a lifestyle that is different from like a typical lifestyle even that you would normally see in a movie. And so I like this movie. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Sorry, I keep sniffling. I'm trying my best not to. I'm assuming you can hear that pretty loud though, but so sorry about that. Next is Arrival, which is one of those movies that I really am embarrassed to say that I had not seen before, but now I have, so I'm not embarrassed anymore. And it was just as good as I expected it to be. This is the best performance of Amy Adams that I personally have seen. Jeremy Renner also gives a very good performance. Forrest Whitaker, Michael Stuhlbarg kind of fill out the cast a little bit. And the aesthetic of this movie is so good. The design of this film works really well. The color grading, it's like dark all throughout the movie, but it's like not dull, is really impressive. It works really well in its favor. The design of the aliens is really weird but cool. The design of like the language is really cool and really weird, and it has such a complex narrative, but it's laid out simply enough to still make it watchable. And by the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, I think I get it. So I will give Arrival a 9 out of 10. Then we have Prisoners, which is another Denis Villeneuve film that I hadn't seen. I don't think I just said his name right, but that's okay. I almost put this one at the end as my surprise of the list. Though I'll say I'm not surprised that it was good, just that I enjoyed it as much as I did. I think it's easily probably my favorite Denis Villeneuve movie that's not Dune. Probably. I'm going to go with that. I'm sure there's one I'm forgetting. I'm just going to look and see real quick if there's anything I'm forgetting. Yeah, I'd say Dune is the only one that has it beat. Dune Part 2, and then Prisoners. But Hugh Jackman gives what is the most dramatic performance of his that I've seen. Jake Gyllenhaal plays a very interesting take on a typical detective archetype. Paul Dano is great as always and needs to be mentioned here. Melissa Leo is very, very good in this movie. Viola Davis, I'll say, could have been featured more, but she was solid in the time she was in because, of course, she was. She's Viola Davis, but I feel like she could have been in the movie more. It's just a great premise with solid twists, makes for a good mystery, and it was very, very intense. 9 out of 10. Next, moving on, we have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So whenever this is my second or third time seeing this movie, whenever I watch it, I just can't put my finger on it, but there's some reason that I don't really like this movie. Similar to Coraline, which I talked about earlier, I totally understand the appeal of it, and I get why people like it. I just don't. Personally, I think it may be because I have a hard time caring and getting invested in the characters. Maybe Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet both give decent performances, but both their characters are so unlikable to me. The concept is cool, but I think the execution of it just plays out very odd. I don't really like the way that they go and travel through Jim Carrey's character Joel's mind. I just think it's weird. Again, I understand why people like it. And it's not my favorite. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Now, Before Sunrise, which is truly just one of the most romantic movies. If you like romantic movies and you haven't seen Before Sunrise, first of all, how? Second of all, go watch it. Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy have great chemistry where they can just look at each other and like you know exactly what they're thinking, you know exactly how they're feeling. They don't have to use words, though when they do, it's always both their characters are the dialogue that they speak is so well thought out and works so well. It's a super fun concept for a movie. I really need to watch the sequels because I haven't, and I don't, and I need to though, because I think that I've heard that the second one especially is just as good, if not better. But honestly, I don't think this movie needed a sequel. I think it was left to be open-ended. I think it works well being left open-ended is what I'm trying to say. I think it ends really well, and I would give it a 9 out of 10. Like I said, I think it's a very romantic movie. Now, rounding out the 10 here is The Shawshank Redemption, which I'm going to keep this short and sweet here. I think this movie is perfect. Point blank, perfect movie. I think everyone should watch it. If you haven't seen The Shawshank Redemption, you need to go watch it. And finally, and I don't say this lightly, I think this is the best movie ever made. Yeah. So all that being said, you could probably guess what my score is going to be. It's a 10. I think it's an enjoyable movie. I think it's a perfect movie. I think it's an incredibly well-made movie. You know, the best one ever. So all that being said, I'm going to go with a 10 for The Shawshank Redemption. So going back over my scores, the 10s, we had Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, got a 10. Good Will Hunting got a 10. And Shawshank Redemption got a 10. Then we had some 9s. Before Sunrise got a 9. Prisoners got a 9. Arrival got a 9. Then Finding Nemo got an 8.5. Into the Wild got a 7.5. And Coraline and Before Sunrise both got 6s. So if my math is correct, that brings it to an 85 out of 100, which is actually a tie with Destiny for 4th on the leaderboard of the top of the 20 that I've done. So pretty solid there. Pause right here. And you know, I enjoyed watching these movies. I'm trying to decide what direction I want to go with these movies next. I just got to decide who I want to ask, really, is what I'm saying. Destiny said she really wants to redo her top 10, though, because it's changed a lot because she's seen so many movies since the last time I did it, which is totally fair. So I'll probably do that next. Like I mentioned, if you enjoy this series, I would definitely recommend watching that. I'll make sure that the article is posted. The article is going to be posted when this video is posted, so you can check it out in the link down below. And I would highly recommend doing that. I think it's really fascinating personally, but also I'm the one that wrote it, so whatever. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Lauren, for putting together this list. Stay tuned for more videos, more podcasts, more TikToks, more blog posts. I'm trying to do it all, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. And all I have to say is peace out.